Today is the start of a new presidential administration. Donald Trump sworn in as the 47th president, the second time that he will serve as commander-in-chief. The inauguration was held inside the Capitol Rotunda for just the second time in the last 40 years, thanks to the blistering cold temps in our nation's capital. And while it's only his first day, President Trump is getting right to work.
He's already signed a couple executive orders that lay out who his cabinet will be while his nominations await approval. He also plans to sign dozens more, including several aimed at immigration and the southern border. President Trump says the orders would reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, designating drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and ending birthright citizenship. Our Kyle Clark is with us now to talk about how Trump's immigration policy is likely to impact Colorado. I mean, he was here a couple months ago and said it as much. He put us on alert. None of this is surprising. What happens next?
Right, that's the question. What happens? And one of the things that we're going to be trying to do is separate the talk from the action, right? Donald Trump's talk on the campaign trail was that his mass deportation was going to begin in Colorado. A number of published reports, including from NBC News, now indicate it's not actually going to be Colorado. It's going to be Chicago, which is another Democrat-led city that came, was the subject of his ire during the campaign. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to separate what people say from what they are actually doing. And that doesn't just go for the Trump administration. That also goes for the Democrats who are in charge here in Colorado, both on the state level and on the local level in the city of Denver. What specifically will they do when mass deportations begin? I sat down today with Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, who says the city of Denver is not changing any of its policies. And he says that City of Denver employees have been reminded they are to follow state law and federal law, which means that they are not impeding mass deportations, but they are not required to assist.
I think Denver's really clear about who we are, and that will not change. We're not going to be bullied or blackmailed out of our values. We are a welcoming city. We have been and we will be. We're also a place that thinks people should work hard, play by the rules, get ahead. The folks that have come to the city are doing that. They're applying for asylum, applying for status, and getting jobs. If you're committing crimes, yes, we will hold you accountable. But if you're here to work hard and support your family, this will always be a welcoming city.
Johnson has significantly backed off of some offhand comments that he made about Denver police and city residents meeting ICE at the city limits and that kind of thing. He says that's not going to happen. When I asked him today what action the city would take to stop mass deportations, it was all retroactive. It was all after the fact in terms of they might sue if ICE officers start going into schools, start pulling people out of churches, start going into hospitals to look for people. They think there might be legal grounds to challenge that after the fact. But it's not going to be stopping it beforehand. And Denver says that it complies with state law, which limits cooperation with ICE. There's very kind of prescribed ways in which they do and do not interact with ICE. The mayor said that they're not about to give ICE extra bed space, right? Here are the two things to keep an eye on going forward that Donald Trump will need to pull off a mass deportation unlike anything seen in American history. A ton more people and a ton more space and logistics, right? Transportation, bed space, agents, that kind of thing. If it's just sending the same agents out to do the work that they were just doing during the Biden administration, and people forget, Joe Biden didn't talk a lot about deportations, but his last year of deportations surpassed any year during the Trump presidency. More in the last year of Biden than any year during the Trump presidency. And can't forget the president they called the deporter-in-chief, that was Barack Obama. He did about 3x the number of deportations that Donald Trump did. So a big challenge for us going forward is going to be talking about what's actually happening as opposed to what people say, right?
It's so funny. I heard so many people talking about that, commentators today, because, I mean, that's the biggest issue when you think about it.
He ran on immigration.
What happened? Yeah, what happened and what previous administrations did. And so when you brought this up with Chicago, I heard a lot of talk about why they chose Chicago. What do you think now? Do you think he's paying attention to what Johnston is saying right now, or Polis, or anybody? Does he, carefully choose which cities are next?
I asked Mayor Johnston today whether he thought that his rhetoric, anti-Trump, made Denver more of a target. And he said that he believed that Denver was already a target. Clearly, Trump mentioned Aurora, Colorado last night. He has Aurora in his sights, right? He knows that he wants to do immigration actions here in Colorado. Everybody expects him to come here, right? Left, right, center, expect him to come here. Why Chicago first? Honestly, if I had to guess, it's because when you look at the last 4 years of deportations, more than double the number have happened out of Chicago than have happened out of Colorado and Wyoming. There's simply more people there if you're going in and trying to do numbers, which is what he has promised to do, right? He wants to do these spectacular numbers of deportation. You're going to be able to get a lot more people in Chicago than you can get here. Another thing to watch, does this sound like it might be complicated? You'll hear other folks who have worked in immigration and customs enforcement for previous administrations say that often the goal of deporting the worst of the worst is not the same as deporting large numbers of people. You find them in different areas. It's a different tactic for enforcement, right? So one of the questions is going to be, are they going after the worst of the worst, which is what Trump was calling Operation Aurora? Or is it simply how many unsuspecting people who are here without authorization can you round up and get rid of to pump those numbers up?
Yeah, okay. As you said, extremely complicated, and I know you're going to do your very best to make sure we know every single day what these numbers are and who's involved and what's really happening.
Yeah, we'll watch it day by day, and again, try to sort real things that are happening versus threats, promises from whomever is out there.
Yeah. Okay, and we know you have more coming up at Next. You
We'll
have
have a
that,
lot more
that
coming up
little
on
show
Next.
coming up.
How about that?
At 6 o'clock. Okay, thanks, Kyle.